come closer. The library is nearly empty tonight. The snow has covered the courtyard, and the old stone walls are holding the cold-like memory. We begin to study ourselves. I have been recovering, resting, allowing my body to mend. Illness slows the mind, but winter sharpens the soul. Tonight, we speak softly of the underworld, not as myth, but as metaphor. Hades did not rule chaos. He ruled structure, order, boundaries, hidden wealth. The underworld was not fire and punishment. It was archives. It was records. It was memory carefully preserved. There are parts of you archived within. Old versions, past grief, unfinished dreams. Winter is when we revisit them, not to suffer, but to understand. Days arrives loudly in the upper world, but here, in the quiet stacks of self-reflection, love is quieter. It is ink on parchment. It is breath steady in cold air. It is choosing to stay with yourself when distraction calls. If you are alone tonight, consider this your invitation to study hall of your own becoming. Light a candle, wrap yourself in wool, listen to the wind trace the windows, the romance in solitude. So today I am going to be creating a oil for King Hades. And before I even start, I'm going to be using from Coby Michael. He's an author. The Poison Path Grimoire. I'm going to use one of his Unguentum Venum. So it's a classic witch ointment made with henbane and belladonna, blended with mugwort, clary sage, and a spike end of wood ash. And here I have some sandalwood, oil base, olive oil. I already have some bay leaf, rue, mint, myrrh, some pine needles, and pomegranate. And I'm going to show you how to do a kernet, basically how to consecrate your space. So before even doing all of this, I am going to show you. I have King Hades, and here I have Goddess Persephone. We are going to start on how will I proceed before doing my oils. So here I have my cinnamon. You take a pinch of cinnamon, you put it in your tongue, and some on your palms of your hands, and you're gonna mix it. And then clap my hands twice, and I'm going to place my hands in a heka form with the hands facing up to the sky, and I am going to state the following. Let my body be pure as my heart. Let my heart be pure as my soul. Let my soul be pure as my spirit. Let my spirit be pure as the spirit of the gods and goddesses, the beings and doings of the gods and goddesses. Let me be pure, 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 let me be pure.
There's some people who practice and can't do smudging because it affects their lungs and their health. So this is a way to substitute that and cleanse yourself before touching anything that you're working with. Now moving on, I am going to be sharing the use of honey. Honey is really good to communicate with these chthonic or divine, bring them that charm and allure when speaking out your words to them. And basically, I am just gonna pour some and taste some of the honey to sweeten my breath, the words, when wanting to communicate with these deities. I ask that you bless my tongue and my words to lure and charm, speaking to these chthonic deities. We are going to basically create a kernip, and late antiquity and back in Greece, they would utilize water and a bay leaf and burn it either with a substitute of rosemary if they didn't have bay leaf. Burn it until it created the ashes, and then they would sprinkle those ashes in the water, and that would create the consecration when utilizing items or when touching anything as well. I am showing you different alternatives for when you are using your hands and when you're crafting anything for these deities. You know, you always want to cleanse your items, especially if you don't want to smudge. I am going to create some oil and separately some herb incense. That way I can give it as an offering to King Hades and to be able to use it for any future workings. Here I have, let's say we don't have sea salt water, we can use a tap water. So this is tap water, and I'm going to get some sea salt. Here I have some natural sea salt, and I'm just going to sprinkle some and bless this water and mix it to create a sea salt water. I will mix it you want to be able to attract and grab the attention. That's what I say when I mean attract. Grab the attention of the deity, the god or goddess, and just utilize correspondences that pertains to them. I will be using a bay leaf to create this kernip that I already created this sea salt water with. Now I just need some matches, and I will be using a bay leaf. So here's a bay leaf. I'm going to be creating his Pluto sigil. It's a planetary symbol, and it pertains to King Hades. So I'm going to use this roller, and I'm going to draw it. Hopefully you can see it here. So basically you draw a little dot, and then you do like a U shape, and then a line and a small arm right there. So it's basically a dot, a U shape, a line, and some hands there. And now I'm going to burn this. It smells really good. I'm also going to draw the Pluto sigil. King Hades, bless my hands while I create this oil and incense for you. I have my matches. But in reality, I do not need, but to make it safe, I always leave it here. This is for King Hades. And it is burning. And now we want to mix this. And now I'm going to throw it in there. This is really good to be able to be used if you wanna, let's say you're setting up a new altar for King Hades. You cleanse your altar, your space, and then any items that you have, let's say you don't want to smudge it again, and you just consecrate it and bless it. I bless this glass skull to create a oil for King Hades. And usually we would, if we're using any smoke, any smudging, we would add the incense in there. But in this case, I am just dipping it in there. In the Underworld, there are beautiful amethyst in his world, besides black obsidian. So I am consecrating this as well because this is a crystal that he will have as part of his altar as an offering as well. Another stone that corresponds to him is malachite. It's really good for leadership as well. The amethyst is really good for psychic, shielding, spiritual growth. I will sprinkle the herbs that I have to bless and consecrate these items that I'm going to, herbs and resin that I'm going to use to create his oil. It's easier to add first the herbs. I'm utilizing pine because he is the god of wealth. I'm going to be using some pomegranate seeds. This is going to be for astral travel. Traveling to the astral realm with his guidance and with the guidance of goddess Persephone, who is his queen. I'm going to add some myrrh resin, and this is due to his relationship to the afterlife, being the god of the dead. I chose mint. Not only does it smell really good, but also the purpose is his history of having a nymph. I don't remember her name, but she attracted him, and Persephone got jealous and turned her into a mint. And now I'm going to add some rue. I am going to add bay leaf. On this one, I am going to draw his Pluto sigil. The rest, I'm gonna save it. That way I can use it as a form of a blend of incense. Now, I will be adding some sandalwood. It is very aromatic and it is attraction. And now I am going to add my olive oil base. And since the animal, such as the snake, they corresponds to him, I'm going to add a rattlesnake vertebrae. I'm gonna add this rattlesnake right here, and I'm gonna crush it. That way, I can add it into my oil. There it is, crush. You can, like, let's say you don't want to use bones, you can use snake skin as a substitute. So snakes are really transformative, renewal, rebirth. There it is. Here is my King Hades oil. And this was actually from a liquor alcohol, and I just threw away the alcohol, well, gave it to one of the gods and then, or goddesses, and then just reuse. And I really like the skull. So here it is. Very proud. Before I start, it is good to use the flying ointment on your temples and on your chest, as well as your, so like I place it right here and right here. If you want, you could also place it on your third eye and on your wrist here. And a little bit more on my chest. Bless this oil, and I'm going to use charcoal. Usually you add the incense when it's all gray, but you can add it a little bit early, it's okay. I'm going to burn this incense and add some mint. I want to share one of my favorite stories about King Hades. And this is from a book written by Jamie Waggoner. And the book is called Hades, Myth, Magic, and Modern Devotion. Hades speaks. What is it like to be suspended in the belly of time? It is being able to hear, but unable to speak. It is being able to sense, but unable to see. It is being enveloped by constant darkness, while left with a distant, lingering memory of the light. My father is the devourer of ages. Some say he is the personification of time itself, but that is not quite right. He is the forward thrust of the unwelcome past, forever threatening to swallow the present, recklessly and selfishly destroying the potential of the future. I have only one memory of Rhea, my Titaness mother. It is a stolen vignette of a moment, close up and out of focus. I remember the sheen of sweat on her brow, the soft glow of her cheeks by firelight, and then darken. At Lent, I found my sister in the dark. Hestia, Demeter, and Hera had been swallowed before me. Their childish hands reach out, fumbling to grasp my shoulder. to feel the outline of my face, to find the edges of my being. My siblings. Eventually, Poseidon joined us too, and together we taught him the ways of our dark imprisonment, such as they were. This is how we grew up, 5 scared little children, holding hands in the dark. And then, one day, our father swallowed a stone instead of the 6th child, Zeus. Clever Rhea hid the baby, and clever Zeus grew to adulthood. He disguised himself as a cupbearer and fed Kronos an emetic potion. With a great contraction and having force, our father suddenly spat out the rest of us, blinded, breathless, and confused. We were immediately swept away to recover at the threshold of Tartarus. Tartarus is a deep abyss. It is as far beneath Hades as the Underworld is beneath the earth. It is a mysterious place where the cosmos and its multitude forms were born, yet no light can pass its boundary. It draws all, consumes all. Nothing escapes Tartarus without the twin efforts of cunning and outside assistance. Our father was strong, and in order to win our freedom from him, my siblings and I needed help from the Titans. Imprisoned within Tartarus were the Cyclops, 3 one-eyed Titans brothers who were skillful blacksmiths and armorers. And the Hecatoncheires, 300-handed Titan brothers, who were fierce warriors, were freed by us as they were prisoners because of Kronos. And in their gratitude, they agreed to ally with us against Kronos. The Cyclops forged our weapons for battle. Zeus was gifted the thunderbolt, and my brother Poseidon the trident. My weapon, however, was different. The gift the Cyclops crafted for me was not meant to burn flesh or draw blood. My weapon was not meant to wound, but to conceal, the helm of invisibility. I placed the newly wrought helm on my head. My body instantly dissolved into mist and shadows, until I was undetectable, unseen, armed, and eager. Together we march against Kronos. The battle waged for 10 years. Thunder rolled as Kronos and the Titans who allied with him fought to preserve their dominance. Day after day, the Cyclops swung their mighty battle axes. Hour after hour, the Hecatoncheires were a relentless blur of bristled arms and lethal hands. Finally, the moment came when Zeus Poseidon cornered Kronos on the battlefield. As he raged against their entrapment, I slipped on the helm of invisibility. I crept closer and closer still, soundless, unseen, screaming his anger at my brothers. Our father took no notice as I quickly clamped manacles around his ankles. He barely understood what was happening when swiftly I closed the second set around his wrist. And it was then that I removed the helm to look him in the eye. His silent shock was louder than his rage had ever been. The once mighty Kronos, devourer of his own children, now defeated. Tartarus was and still is the perfect prison for the unjust. When the battle was over and Kronos secured in the abyss, Zeus proposed that he, Poseidon, and I draw lots to divide the world among ourselves. As she had been given dominion over crops, grains, and agriculture, our sister Demeter gathered straws of varying lengths in her hand for the lottery. We each chose a straw. Zeus drew the longest straw, and for his lot was given the realm of the skies. Poseidon drew the middle straw, and for his lot was given the realm of the seas. Demeter face grew sympathetic as I drew the last straw, the short straw, and for my lot was given the void. The void is the underworld. Hades speaks again. How small the straw looked, lying in my palm. The third lot, the underworld. I stood stunned while my brothers congratulated each other on their destinies. They slapped each other on the back, relieved, laughing in celebration. My face remained stoic as the sunlight began to fade. A sinking feeling invaded my gut, and one by one I watched my siblings depart for their own new realms and responsibilities. I closed my eyes tight against the inevitable. At length, I was left standing alone. And so I thought, until I felt soft fingers slip into my hands. Hecate, the goddess who allied with us against the Titans, squeezed my free hand. Hades, let us go home. I follow Hecate beyond the great river of Oceanus, past the setting sun, and then down far below the earth to a liminal realm hidden from the living. Behind its shroud of mist, the underworld was not at all the empty void that I had feared it to be. There were mighty rivers to explore, landscapes to chart, fields to cultivate, and I was not alone. Other deathless ones, such as Nyx, Erebos, Charon, Thanatos, Kerberos, the Moirai, and Menoetis live here. They welcome me as their leader. Eventually, I built a home for myself in the halls of Hades and planted an orchid of pomegranate trees. It was not long before the shades of mortal began arriving on my shores. These days, I watch from my balcony as shades drift aimlessly across the asphodel fields. This balcony is where I retreat when I need a few moments to myself. My favorite spot in the halls for quiet contemplations. Mortal shades appear gray, amorphous, ephemeral, sometimes melancholy. But the shades floating in the asphodel fields never fail to renew my spirit because of one simple reason. Within their shadowy frames, I can still see the faint, yet ever-present glow of their souls. Delicate, golden, and precious, they rest here in my fields for a time until they are ready to be born again and re-enter the great cycle. I watch over and care for them, and I am uplifted by their infinite potential. What a marvelous, wonderful, inspirational story about King Hades. Guys, all right, you're not alone. Just like every one of us, we are not alone in the craft. We are all learning from each other. So I just want to close with a hymn to the unseen one, which is King Hades. Again, you can sing this or you can say it out loud. unseen one, you are who you are, eternally cloaked in mist and shadows, invisible to the eye, yet not invisible to the heart. I offer honor and praise to thee, called Aidoneus. I pray you will watch over me with kindly spirit and stealthy mind. I ask to please protect me as I walk above, until I descend below to rest in your fields once more. So you can also, when you're creating your oils or your incense, you can, let's say you start this on a full moon and you charge it under the moon, and each night, this is a commitment again, you recite the Orphic hymn. You don't need to sing it, you can recite it, and just make sure you wake up in the morning and you remove it before the sunlight comes out. And then place it in a dark place, repeat it until the new moon. Then you can fully have this charge and use it for any of your spell workings. This is not something limited. This is dedicated to King Hades, and you can even use it for his queen Persephone. And basically, this is an oil that should not limit you on what to use this with. This is a oil to dress your candles or anoint yourself as well when it comes to creating any sigils to protect yourself before leaving your home, your workplace, and returning.
So I was able to do a ward protection by following the guidance of the witch of the mushroom forests.